Hello, my name is Michael, and I am here at Butterflies and Blooms at the Green Bay Botanical Gardens for our Live on Flyer Fridays. And today, we are going to be looking at a couple of our we're going to be looking at 3 butterfly species that I find very interesting, and I've recently gotten a chance to learn a lot about. These butterflies are called passion vine butterflies. Overall, they are all part of a group called the brush-footed butterflies, which several of our other butterfly species are part of that group, because they have 4 legs that actually have bristles on them. But within that brush-footed butterfly family, there are the longwing butterflies, which is a subfamily, and we're going to go one level even deeper into a tribe, which is a level under subfamily of passion vine butterflies. And they are called that because their host plants are primarily the passion vine, which is a long growing vine with beautiful blooms. We do actually have one in our garden, although it's not the kind that they prefer, and we also have some clippings around that we are hoping to get to see some of these butterflies lay eggs on. These butterflies, so the 3 species that we're going to be talking about are the Julia, the Gulf Fritillary, please forgive me if I mispronounce that, and the zebra longwing. And we're going to try and find some around the butterfly house today. And all 3 of these species use that as a host plant and will be laying eggs on it for their caterpillars to feed, for their developing caterpillars to hatch and feed on and grow into butterflies. Because one thing that's really interesting about this whole group is the fact that when the caterpillars consume the passion vine, when they're eating it and growing, they actually take those chemicals into their bodies, and it makes them toxic. If you look up any of the caterpillars, I don't know if we have any around, but if you look up the caterpillars from any of these 3 species, they have these beautiful black spikes that also help ward off predators. So when you're a caterpillar trying to survive against birds and all sorts of other predators trying to eat you, what you want to do is you want to look really scary, and you want to be toxic to make sure that whatever eats you, it's not going to have a good time. So, with that all said, let's start by looking for some of our Julias over here. And we've got a waterfall, so I'm going to talk a little louder. This is the first species I'd like to highlight. It is a passion vine butterfly of that tribe Heliacani, and it is the Julia. Typically, you can see they are a kind of warmish, rustyish orange. The males typically are brighter in color than the females, and typically they have less of that black. These butterflies, you can see on their wings, they have kind of black dots that almost kind of become streaking in different individuals. In the males, the dots are a bit more pronounced, and the females, the streaking is more heavy, and the females are also a bit of a lighter, more faded, or a more faded kind of a little darker color. And these butterflies, the Julias, love in our butterfly house the lantana plants. Typically, if you go by the lantana plants, you'll find a lot of Julias. They're actually really important pollinators for the Julia plants in the wild. And you'll notice these, lost my train of thought there for a second. These ones actually can feed on the secretion of reptiles in the wild, which I find to be really interesting. And they will, in the wild, prefer open habitats. So they like farm fields, pastures, woodlands, areas like that, where they have a lot of space and a lot of openness to fly around. All right.
Okay.
Let's move on and see if we can maybe find some longwings. Excuse us. And here we have one of my favorite species that I've gotten to learn about, the zebra longwing. These butterflies are called longwings, although technically all of the species we're talking about today are considered longwing butterflies. They're the only ones with long wing in their name, and you can see that they have really elongated forewings that reach out. They actually look similar in color to our giant swallowtail, but unlike the giant swallowtail, they have a much different body shape. And that coloration, that stunning black and yellow banding, is actually thought to warn predators of their toxicity in the wild. And all of these butterfly species that we're talking about today are not native to Wisconsin. So you're not going to see them out around here unless you come to Butterflies and Blooms. But typically they would not survive in our area. We cannot support the passion vine in the wild that they would use as their host plant. It's simply not hardy in our area. Some people will choose to plant that as an annual, but overall, the passion vine that these butterflies depend on would not live here. Luckily, you can actually plant lantana as an annual, which supports not just these butterflies, but it also supports a lot of our native species too. And you can get that at local garden centers pretty much everywhere. If you want to pick a good planting that's not only beautiful, but will also help support pollinators.
Now, Michael, with similar to the Julias, is there a way to tell what gender the zebra longwing is?
No, not with the longwing.
Okay.
They are pretty standard looking between both the males and the females.
Okay.
Yeah. One interesting fact that I want to bring up is they're actually the state butterfly of Florida.
Oh, wow.
My research, I couldn't find Wisconsin having any state butterfly at all, but we do have a state insect, which is the honeybee, which I think is a really good substitute if you're not going to have a butterfly. And zebra longwings, they are actually fairly intelligent for butterflies and will actually have somewhat of a social order where older individuals get better spots for roosting or perching than younger individuals, which is really cool. And they apparently have a pretty good memory and can remember really well where their food sources are. And one thing that's unique about all three of these species is the fact that they can, or two of the three species, but the tribe, the passion vine butterflies in general, is that they will feed on pollen. And normally butterflies, when they're adults, look for flowers to get nectar and sugar, but pollen is packed with protein and they can utilize that too. And the zebra longwings actually have a pretty long reproductive cycle that can last months compared to the typical weeks that other butterflies might have. All right.
Okay.
And now we're going to, and this is going to be the hard part, try and find a Gulf Fritillary, our third and final passion vine species. So we're going to keep an eye out for those. We saw one over here.
Yeah, earlier.
Typically, our Gulf, so both the Julias and the zebra longwings will be found on lantanas. They absolutely love it, and the Julias are an important pollinator for it in the wild. But if you want to find a Gulf Fritillary, I found that some of the best spots to look in our house are on the canna plants, which are the tall orange spike-like flowers that they have. In fact, I think there's one
Right there?
Yes, I think it's right there.
Or maybe is that a queen?
No, that right up.
Yeah.
Yes, that
Okay,
one right
okay.
up there. That is a Gulf Fritillary. You can see through the wing. They are absolutely kind of a beautiful, almost stained glass look on the bottom. They have three kind of like silverish white dots towards the leading edge of their wing. And both the male and the female are kind of that bright, warm orange color with the three dots, as well as some black dots towards the bottom of the wing. You can't see it too well from the angle, but ooh, it might. Oh, it almost gave us a good shot of what I was talking about. but you will actually see that they've got the black dots. If you look at the back end of their hind wings, so they've got the front set of wings, the forewings, and the back set of wings, the hind wings, that is where you'll be able to tell the difference between the male and the female, is the female will typically have a lot more of that dark color on the hind wings than the male will. So the male is more of just an orange color, whereas the female's got a lot more of that orange and black. Although they both do have a little bit of black on the trim there too. And the word fritillary is actually thought to come from talking about like a dice box or games, like checkered, kind of that tiled pattern that they have when you look at them and you see those spots that they have. And the fritillaries are actually a migratory species in some portions of their range. Again, all of these butterflies typically are going to be found along the south coast of the United States, as well as into Mexico and portions of Latin and Central America, so places a lot warmer than we typically have here in Wisconsin. And these ones, the ones at the northern part of their range, will actually sometimes migrate southward en masse, which I think is really, really cool. And some species like our monarch also migrate southward as well.
Nice.
Can we get another shot of that of that fritillary before it ends? And fritillaries in the wild are actually really important pollinators for violets, and they really enjoy getting violets, as well as Rudbeckia or black-eyed Susan as some of their nectar sources. And again, all three of these species are going to be utilizing those beautiful passion vines as their host plant for their caterpillars to grow up on. So thank you for joining me here today at Butterflies and Blooms to talk about the three passion vine species, the zebra longwing, the Julia, and the Gulf Fritillary, which I can never pronounce. And learning why these three really awesome species that we are lucky to have here at Butterflies and Blooms, to get to know them a little bit and to get to learn why they're important for the ecosystem as pollinators. Thank you for joining me, and I hope to see you at Butterflies and Blooms. Stop by, as we are open for August, and we would love to see you here and get to see these butterflies in person.